As I mentioned to the Mesadrim, I didn't have the schus to have any close relationship, working relationship with Rebbetzin, other than on one occasion that I'll mention a little later. But the day reminds us that this is not just a day van aptire, van die stalkers, van die tzedekers, but of all this, what this all means, and the involvement in terms of onze Rebbe, this is our Rebbetzin, and the involvement of the Friedeker Rebbe, this is zijn dochter. This is onze oil here. Difficulty to think that this is 31 years old, 31 years since then. I assume, probably I'm right, that no one here in this room, or the great majority of the people in this room, born. So let me, Bekitzer, tell you some of the protein. Probably some of them you know, some of them you didn't hear before. Let's see what we can. And Beike, hopefully this will be an inspiration to me and to you and to those listening about the life of the Rebbetzin and the Skashrus to the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin in alle Unionen for what they lived for in alle Joren. To describe the Rebbetzin in one word, perhaps, of what she was and she gave, her life was dedicated to the Rebbe, so that the Rebbe can do what he has to do. And in that, she, I think it describes a lot what I'm going to tell you now. The Rebbetzin was talking on the phone with someone. And in the conversation, she heard the Rebbe's keys trying to open the door. So she said to the person, "Mein Gast ist schon angekommen. I have to stop now. My guest just arrived. I have to stop the conversation." She called the Rebbe "mein Gast," my guest, because basically this is it. Her life was dedicated to them. The Rebbe's life was dedicated to us and to Chassidim, to Klal Yisrael, and too much time there wasn't. No. The Rebbetzin was not well, and at one point, the doctor was called. I believe this was Dr. Feldman, and he came to the house, and after a while, he told the Rebbe that his opinion is that the Rebbetzin should be taken to the hospital for observation. The Rebbe agreed. Four people were involved in this trip. Rabbi Yudel Krinsky, I believe that he drove the Rebbetzin, Dr. Feldman, and Rav Sholem Schoenberg-Gansburg. And Schoenberg told me that before leaving the house, the Rebbe asked him to call me every 15 minutes. Jede 15 Minuten sollst du mir rufen. On the trip to the hospital, it was more than just, the Rebbetzin was lebedik, talkative, sometimes laughing. It was not kentig that Chas v'Sholom something is about to happen. When they arrived at the hospital, waiting at the emergency room, at one point, the Rebbetzin said to Rabbi Gansberg, to Schollenberg, "Ich bin durstig, I'm thirsty," and asked him for some water. The way I remember, Schollenberg told me this at that time, that he didn't know what he can do or cannot do. and he was afraid to do something improper. So he played for time. So herumgespielt ein bisschen, and did not give the water. A little time passed, and the Rebbetzin asked again for the water. She says, "Ich bin sehr durstig. I'm very thirsty." He went to the nurse and asked the nurse, "Am I allowed to give the Rebbetzin some water?" She said, "Yes, that's no problem." So she said, "She's very thirsty." He gave her a glass Wasser, a whole glass of water, and gave it to her. She took the water, took a sip, maybe 2 sips, gave him back the water, which is not a person that was so thirsty. 1 sip, 2 sips, and gave him back. And she said to Schellenberg-Gansburg, "Der Eibischer soll euch Mechaya sein, wie ihr hat mir Mechaya gewinnt." Interesting that this is not the first time in these talks from Rebbetzins. There were several Rebbetzins that asked for wood and drank before these talks. Shortly thereafter, the Rebbetzin went into a coma. The Protim Genoi, I don't know every detail, but shortly thereafter went into a coma. And it didn't look good. When it came the time for Rav Schellenberg to call the Rebbe, he didn't know what to do. He asked Dr. Feldman for him to call, if I remember correctly. And it was already a union von Korev Lozeh or the and how to break it. And Dr. Feldman tried, and the Rebbe was not accepting. He was not hearing what he was saying. And at one point the Rebbe asked, "Can we make an operation? Is this doable?" So, they came back, and one of the first things, or perhaps the first thing that the Rebbe said after that is talkers, "Man soll mit dir sein, die Shluchim überall." To be with dir, the Shluchim all over. Because the Rebbe considered, and the Rebbetzin considered, that's the Rebbetzins Kinder, that's the Rebbe's Kinder, the Shluchim. To be with dir, Shluchim überall. And Shluchim came from all over. I was in the house just before the Levaya on President Street. And at one point the Rebbe came down slowly, step by step. Didn't look at anybody. Went straight to the room where the Oren of the Rebbetzin was. The door closed. And the Rebbe was there for about 10 minutes. After that, started the Levaya. I'm not going to try, and it's not possible to describe the Rebbe and how he was walking behind the Oren. During the Shiva, I came with our chairman of the board from Morristown, Mr. David Chase. I habe gegeben a gute Freund, not only from Chabad, from the Rebbe. And I saw how the Rebbe received him, even in mitten of the Shiva. And when Chase had a chance, he said to the Rebbe that, Rebbe, right after the Shiva, I'd like to establish a fund and tzedakah for the Rebbetzin. And the Rebbe answered, why after the Shiva? Start now, immediately. And he started making plans for that. You know. A prat that you will never know. I was standing there, and the Rebbe told him to start immediately and discuss this with Rabbonim and do it properly and so on, Papa. There was never... Later on, I get a call from Leibel Grunner. The sensitivity from Rebbe in alle matzovim to anybody. Wie weit dat is op een weg getan another person that perhaps may be offended or what, no. Leibel Grunner says, the Rebbe said, mit dem Yashosheim, der Rabbonim, der Rebbe gemeint, you besuchen. I said, Leibel, you have to tell me that. The Moiser, you know. But this is the Rebbe, says he. Im mit den Shiva, efshe kann sein, als he mit sind dort angerichtet und gesagt, der Rabbonim, not the Shaliach. Besuchen. In the Kesher with the Rebbetzin, there was one time, and I hear Chelukei Deis, that she gegangen, but this is not so much Negea, that someone mentioned to the Rebbetzin about some nice little trees in the campus of Morristown. Described the campus, nice, whatever, and trees and see. And the Rebbetzin seemed interested in that. And I think that the person asked, can we bring some here? And the Rebbetzin said, yes. Something to that effect. If I'm not mamish medaik everything, but it's korevlose. As a result of this, we hired a professional, and we selected three trees, not big, so on. And the professional came with his staff and removed the trees with the shadish, with the roots from that, and came with us to the Rebbe's house in order to plant those trees there. From time to time, the Rebbetzin would open the door halfway and just take a look how the work is going. I believe this was Yud Aleph Nissen, and the Rebbe was not home. The Rebbe was by the way all the time. You know. And he planted those trees. This was my experience the few times that the Rebbetzin opened the door to see how things are going. From those three trees that were planted, 2 took, and 1 didn't take. And what's doing today, weiß ich nicht. Aber begeloven als is given. The day is a day that we, as Kinder von der Rebbetzin, as Kinder von der Rebbe, can't just walk away with it, just say your side and that's it. We have to get the inspiration of what this day means for the Rebbe, for her Tate, for the Rebbeim, and things that are not gear to our work. And our work is to mechazek sein die Kashrus to the Rebbe, to the Rebbetzin, and continue doing what we have to do in terms of shluchim, talmidim, to do in terms of creating more and more. And this goes outside the cheshbon from the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin, because she had a portion in everything. She was involved in everything. She gave of herself so that this can be accomplished. And it was accomplished, you know. So, the kitzur is the day we walk away, for us here, and for Anash, B'chol Olam Kulei, a day of achlotis, to be moisif, Beim Rebbe is Mamshech zijn, just Hemshech is not enough. You have to be moisiv also. To be moisiv in the avodah, and the things that we have to do and that we continue to do successfully, dank the Eibishten. And this will bring a tremendous nachas ruach for the Rebbetzin, for the Rebbe, and for the Father, the Frierdiker Rebbe. Kol Tov.